I can't believe that I was one of the millions that didn't know about this. I don't know whether you do know about this, but there is a research that was done that proved that there is a close relationship between vocabulary and behavior, and ultimately success, because we know success has everything to do with behavior and habits. The explanation makes sense, but someone might find it far-fetched before they listen to the explanation. Vocabulary, one, helps you to widen your mind sight. You can't dream, envision, and plan for things you can't think about. And our minds tend to think in the fluence of our language. So we think in words. We think of where we're going to go as we think of the words. Now, this makes sense because recently I am a speaker about marketing, communication, and sales. So I usually do consulting for marketing as well, especially digital marketing, but I have never used the word innovation, and for that reason I have never used innovation as a strategy of marketing until recently when I learned about the word innovation. What does innovation mean? Innovation means that you use the inner psychology of clients and customers to twist a product or a service they could be having a complaint or a reservation about, and just by twisting something, just something, you don't change anything on the product, you just change something that will make them feel like they are comfortable with the product now, or they just can't think about the complaints that they had. For example, there's an illustration that is given that a group of people used to complain about the length an elevator takes on a particular building. And the tenants were unsatisfied. The landlord was wondering what to do because it's very expensive to install a new system of the elevators again. So a strategist came about and advised and suggested that what they should do is put mirrors on the wall in front of the elevators, but also in the elevators they put mirrors. Now, people stopped thinking of the time they're going to wait when the elevator comes or until the elevator comes, and they started focusing on looking at themselves in a mirror. That's innovation. And I remember there's a restaurant in Uganda. I've traveled a lot around Uganda. There's a restaurant we visited in Uganda, and it had a very big signpost in front of it. No Wi-Fi, no phone zone. Please focus on the people you came to see. Be in the moment, enjoy the moment. You see, they did not provide the Wi-Fi, but the moment you see that signpost, you cease to complain about the lack of Wi-Fi. And what do you do instead? You're like, yeah, that makes sense. Let me focus on the person I have come to attend to, or the person I've taken out. On the contrary, or seemingly on the contrary, you've seen restaurants that may ordinarily take a long time to deliver your order from the time you make the order, but when they put one, Wi-Fi, two, they put a charging socket. Somehow, when you have a laptop or a phone, you focus on the phone and the laptop instead of focusing on the turnover or the time they're going to take to bring your order. Innovation. So from the time I learned of this strategy, I now can think of training about it, but also when I'm drafting strategies, it's something that always occurs to my mind, and I ask myself, is there a way we can innovate for this particular problem? Instead of creating a new product line or a new service line, can we just twist something either by wording or something we do and people forget about it? Now, that explains how the mind sight is enlarged, is widened by just increase in the wealth of words you have. So the number one advantage of increasing the wealth of words that you have was mind sight, enlarging your vision. Second, is that vocabulary helps you explain yourself better, express yourself better. You imagine you have to say something, but you don't have enough words to express it. You actually imagine you wanted to talk about innovation, but you don't know how to say it. So you keep on explaining to people, but it's just one word. You just have to say innovate and maybe explain innovation, right? So vocabulary helps you when you increase in the number of words that you have at your disposal. It enables you to express yourself freely and richly. Third, the reason as why you should increase the wealth of your words. It helps you understand people better. When people are going to use words you've never heard of, you won't understand anything. It doesn't matter how much you're interested in learning new knowledge, interested in adopting new skills, but when people are going to use words and terminologies that you can't understand, you're not going to learn. For example, if you go in a new industry and you don't know the terminologies there, it doesn't matter how much time you spend with the experts. If the terminologies they are going to use, you're not conversant with them, everything passes here. Or you imagine you go in a new tribe, they speak a different language, and they're willing to teach you about a few things they have done over a long time and they have helped them to succeed in a particular field. But you can't understand them, you can't listen to them, you're limited. The same happens to us, even when we are all speaking English, but if people are going to speak to you, if you're going to watch something and your words, your wealth of words is limited, there are things that you're not going to adapt to, there are skills you're not going to learn, there's knowledge and information you're not going to collect or comprehend just because you are limited. As I finish, I want to tell you that sometimes expression in the number 2 that we talked about makes it even easier for people to like you or follow you. Imagine every night you tell your loved one good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, good night, 365 days until death. How about if you change a few things? You say, today you say, have a good night. Tomorrow, have a wonderful night. Today, have a splendid night. Express the same thing in different ways. It has a different impact and it's usually felt differently. Challenge and task today. Every week on Tuesday, please tell us a new word that you learned in the week. If you can, make a stitch. How you make a stitch on TikTok? You go on the sharing button, you find the option stitch. It will play my video for about just 2 seconds, and then tell us the word that you learned this week and the meaning. This word could be one in your field, it could be in the ideas you believe in, or in your profession or philosophy. So get a new word, learn how to pronounce it, learn its meaning, and tell it to us now. You can even mention it in the comments or just make a stitch and tell us what you learned. Every week, I'll be reminding you to tell us the new word that you learned.